With TRT, sometimes you kind of have to pick and choose what you're more interested in. Are you interested in purely anabolism, right? I think that's kind of a shallow perspective to have. Okay, I want to go on TRT just because I want to build some muscle. Or do you want to fix energy and sexual function and you really don't care about the muscle? Now, that's a more admirable position, but still somewhat shallow because, hey, look, we're taking an exogenous testosterone, right? We want to look masculine and we want to actually grow. We want the energy to go to the gym, to lift weights, to progressively overload, to lift heavier over time, and to beef out, brother. Truth of the matter is sometimes, you do kind of pick one or the other, or if you're like shooting more towards sexual function, which is, I think, should be the goal for everybody, you're going to generally be less anabolic, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You can have your cake and eat it too. You could be pretty anabolic, look better than a natty, have the physical strength that's better than a natty, look more saucy than a natty, but still have rockin' erections and great libido. What I want to do in this video is break down this tricky dynamic, right? It's like you go lower end on the doses to control estrogen naturally to where erections are good, but you lose the anabolism, or at least some of it. You go on the anabolic TRT doses, and it takes you 6 months to a year to dial in, and you're still in the purgatory of never dialing in. You're muscular as hell, but your D doesn't work. How do you strike the right balance, and what are the tools to use to become pretty jacked, like as good as you can be? You look pretty good, above average, but you got rockin' sexual function. Let's break that down in this video because this is an important topic that I know all of us on TRT have come face to face with. Let's break it down. All right, before we start the video, look, my company, Cortex Labs, is a TRT guidance and sexual dysfunction resolution company. Got a range of different products. Newly launched, recently launched yesterday, Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT, the Sexual Function Playbook. This is everything. We've got the Cream course, we've got the Cypionate course, we have some other courses. This is everything. It's a 7-year coach's perspective, refined protocol approach on how to dial in sexual function and otherwise on TRT. It's got everything. Long esters, prop, cream, exogenous DHT on TRT, perfecting the DHT E2 axis. Everything on the internet is wrong. Hybrid protocols, erections, libido, forever. Launched, okay? It's about 60 pages. It's got decision trees in it for how to dial in each ester, adjustment strategy for every protocol. This is the playbook for sexual function on TRT. 20% off right now. Code's on the screen. Go get it. It just launched, baby. It's here. If you need to hire me for coaching right now, 30% off 3 and 6 month packages. This is full sexual dysfunction resolution, one-on-one with me, livecortex.com. Then, of course, we got source lists. Anything you can think of that you need access to, just get it. It's 20% off right now. Down in the description of this video. So, I mean, we'll start with like a pretty classic example of like the anabolic side of TRT. This guy's on 250 milligrams a week. Do you know how much test that is? I mean, 250 plus is sports TRT. I mean, this is where athletes go and people that are kind of not running a cycle quite. Cycle would be like 350 plus. They're not really running TRT. I mean, 250 is not TRT. And so this is what comes with that. What comes with that, if you're not managing estradiol, and even then, so it's actually hard to manage estradiol when it's sitting at 70. You got to find the right dose of an aromatase inhibitor, DHT derivative. That stuff takes time to dial in, and it isn't always perfect. You get anabolism. Like, this dude's probably jacked, probably super strong at the gym. He even says, I feel pretty good overall, right? Good energy, no sensitive nipples, good mood. Yeah, this dude's running on androgens, bro. DHT is super high. The testosterone is high. That's going to make you anabolic, dude. You're going to be able to go to the gym, crush it, do multiple sets, work out 7 days a week, and feel phenomenal. But LIMP D. Should have started an AI. The answer to this question is very obvious. I mean, it also shows us very clearly that, look, you're on loads of testosterone and you're aromatizing into estradiol way above your range. You have sexual dysfunction. I mean, I still have guys arguing with me in the comment section that estrogen doesn't cause sexual dysfunction. Then what is it, guy in the comments? What is that then? What is it? You tell me what that is. What is it? SHBG being too low? Nonsense. I got guys sitting at 9 with rockin' erections and crazy libido. What is it? Not enough free tests? Guys got enough free tests. What is it then? Dopamine? Nonsense. Dopamine is implicit in sexual function, right? You're also talking to a 16-year nootropics expert that studied countless papers on neurology. Dopamine is not the sole driver of sexual function. In this case, it's E2. So what happened here? Anabolic, but not the sexual function, right? This is the seesaw that we sometimes face. And then the other side of the spectrum. This is a thread titled, "Should I be taking a high dose to put on muscle?" I'm 53 years old. I've been taking 120 milligrams. Okay. So he's doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday injections. He's doing sub-Q. So pretty steady state. 120 is not bad, but it's going to be a lot less anabolic than 150 even, or 170, and certainly 200. He says, "I definitely feel stronger, but expected to see better results in the mirror." So this is the other side of the spectrum. You go down to an estrogen-friendly dose, right? A sex-friendly dose where erections, libido, all that stuff works great. You're going to be less anabolic, dude. You are. You have less testosterone. You go on strictly transscrotal cream, just like all on the scrotum, you're going to be less anabolic than if you put 3 on the forearm and 2 on the scrotum, right? Because on the forearm, it's more testosterone, which is going to equal more aromatization, less DHT, you'll be more anabolic, but the sex function might suffer, as it usually does in those cases. So here is what you want to do. You want to try to do both, okay? You want to have stellar erections, great libido, normal sexual function, but you want to be anabolic to the point where you do look different than a natty. You look like a guy that goes to the gym and is not a bodybuilder, but you're like above average. And you want to be just anabolic enough to where if you push it a little further than that, like you're going to have sexual dysfunction. Let's talk about doing that on Cypionate. On Cypionate, it is generally a little harder to do that, right? Because for a lot of folks I see in coaching, they've got to go down to like 110, 115, like 120 max with a little bit of HCG, like 75 IU a day of HCG. So that estrogen falls at 27. 25 or something, maybe even 35, but their libido works, their erections work, and they're happy regarding sexual function. But they're not that anabolic, They're growing slowly. They don't really look saucy. There's nothing about their physique that looks like, hey, that guy is like, and he's at the gym trying, man. He's at the gym pushing and lifting heavier and trying to progressively overload, but he's just not growing much. That happens all the time. Now, the middle ground there is like 130 to 140. Like call it 140. You do daily injections of 20 milligrams. You got a low-end dose of HCG at 100 IU a day, basically minimum effect dose. You can even take it down to 75 IU a day if you absolutely have to. There, at 140, especially with daily injections, you just have constant androgen receptor activation. You're going to be anabolic, dude. And you're going to grow and you're going to look saucy and you will be able to put on mass. But it's the estrogen at 140 with a little bit of HCG is probably going to be overrange. It just is the case for most people. So then it muddies the protocol a bit because, you probably have to take a little bit of Masteron, little bit of Primabon, maybe some DHT itself, or like an ultra low dose AI, like 0.006 anastrozole, like once every 13 days or something. That muddies the protocol, right? It complicates things a little bit. It's not just quite like falling in the middle there where everything's great. But you can make that happen with that kind of template. You push 150, 175, 200, the anabolism is going to be there. There's no question. Like you will be a beast at the gym. You can work out 6-7 days a week, recover easily. You're back at the gym the next day. You feel like $1 million, and your physique is going to show that you're putting in the work and you're anabolic as hell. But you're at 175. You're going to have sexual dysfunction, right? Climax issues, sensation issues, libido problems, erection problems. It almost always happens when you get up there, with the exception of those rare few anomalies, the very vocal people in the comments saying, I have estrogen at 55. Yeah, you're not the mean. You are the exception. Little bit of situational awareness there might help you. Up there at 175, 200, yeah, it's doable. But you're going to have to control estrogen, right? And this is generally speaking for most folks. You're going to have to take an AI, take Primo, take Masteron, use some DHT to block estrogen at the receptor side, gene expression side, and then maybe you can dial in that way. With prop, let's talk about prop. It's even worse, actually. You go down to the sex-friendly zones, it's like 10 to 25 milligrams a day. I mean, some folks can tolerate 30, 35, but that's pretty rare as well. Yeah, estrogen's going to fall in range, at 15 milligrams a day, or for me, it's 25 milligrams a day. Any further than that, and the estrogen goes up a little too high, and I got to manage it. But with prop, man, it leaves your body super quickly. It's like this, bing, bing, peak, trough. That the androgen receptor activation and thus the anabolism, the nitrogen retention, mechanistically is less. So you have less glycogen as well, less estradiol ultimately, which kind of is anabolic, makes you look fuller. And on those sex-friendly zones of prop, the anabolism is even less, right? So it's a real tricky situation. Prop feels great, and if you don't care about the anabolism, fine. right? But you can lose some anabolism on the lower doses. Now, again, to make prop work for everything, you got to push the higher doses, 35, 40 milligrams, maybe 50 milligrams a day of test prop, and you run an AI. You run Primo, you run Masteron, you run some DHT. DIM and calcium deglucarate are not going to help you. DIM especially. If you can dial that in, perfect. You have your cake and eat it too. You're anabolic, your sexual function works. But since I am perhaps one of, maybe but we'll just call me one of the biggest proponents of test cream in the world, let's talk about cream. Because with cream, you can achieve both. Again, you're not going to be vigorous Steve status or like a bodybuilder status, but you're going to look pretty good because cream peaks pretty quickly, gives you a good bit of testosterone, more DHT, far more DHT than if you put it on the forearm or if you're injecting testosterone. You're just getting way more DHT via all the scrotal 5-alpha reductase enzymes. Man, it's just such a heavy bias to DHT. I got guys on 300, 400 nanograms per deciliter DHT on test cream. It's insane. But the way that cream works is you get the swift peak, but then you stay physiologic for a while. So first it's like a fast ester. Then it's kind of like a long ester for a set number of hours throughout the day. And then it's a little bit like a fast ester in the trough, like in the middle of the night toward the next morning. But in that physiologic zone of test, you stay anabolic and you have more anabolism with cream. And the greatest part is with cream, you achieve that on the sex-friendly doses, right? The 100 milligram cream, 4 to 5 clicks a day, mostly scrotum, maybe some forearm application. On the 200 milligram cream, which I don't suggest, but really the safe dose is like 2.5 pumps of that, 2.5 clicks of that, all in the morning, by the way. I really don't believe in splitting it up. You'd be hard pressed to find a guy that dials in on that. Only the rare few that where their peaks and troughs are so extreme, they need twice daily applications. Finally, on any ester or modality that gets you down in the sex zone with estradiol, assuming you have enough DHT, the other answer is just Anavar. Okay? I mean, that's a tool that we have available. I've got it in my cabinet. I haven't used it in quite a while, but I might at some point. But look, that stuff is as anti-catabolic and as pro-anabolic as any pill that you can take. And the greatest thing about Anavar is you don't really need to dose a lot of it. I mean, you could do 6 milligrams a day of oxandrolone, Anavar, and get noticeable anabolism. Better pumps, better water retention, or I should say, muscle glycogen retention, better nitrogen retention, fuller, able to achieve keepable gains. Anavar is the keepable gains anabolic. So you run your low dose test, right, to get estrogen in range, and you're just kind of like, somewhere around a natty. It's just replacement levels of testosterone. You run your 5 to 10 to 15 milligrams. You don't need any more than that with Anavar, believe me. Of Anavar, you're going to be saucy. You're going to be great. You'll have the anabolism. You do that for 3-4 months. You monitor your lipids. You look at your blood pressure. You look at your hematocrit, primarily your lipids. You look at the liver enzymes, make sure all's in check. If things get a little skewed during an Anavar cycle, you cycle off for 4 months and get all that shit back under control. You definitely want to do that. Then you're on the low dose test, which keeps your sexual function great. And you've got the Anavar providing the anabolism. And no, it's not going to crush SHBG to the point where you're going to have sexual dysfunction. That rarely happens. So, I mean, that's basically all we've got, boys. I just wanted to break this down because this is a common problem that men face on TRT. Got to go down, get estrogen in range, get a replacement doses kind of thing, less anabolic. I want to be anabolic. We want to, dude. We want to be strong. We want to go to the gym. We want to look good for our women, for ourselves, for our self-esteem, dude. It's really important. But we need to have sexual function too, right? So the balance is a fine little balance to strike. And honestly, what I've described in this video, those are the best ways to have your cake and eat it too. You don't want to have one or the other, man. You want to be super anabolic. You're jacked out of your mind, but your D doesn't work. I mean, what's the point in that? Likewise, you do not want to be on the lower end and like everything sexual function works, but you look like you've got mosquito arms and you can't put on masks. You don't want that too. You can find a middle ground, and I've hopefully broken that down well enough for you in this video. All right, boys, as I said in the beginning, finally launched the most comprehensive playbook for sexual function on TRT. It's not just protocols. Yes, there are protocols in here, but we're breaking down the logic behind everything that I've seen for more than a half decade as a TRT coach. By the way, everything that I get inquiry-wise is sexual dysfunction. That's it. Erection issues, libido issues, satiation issues, climax issues. That's all I work on. The protocols that work, the logic that the coaching has shown me, the real world stuff going on regarding sexual function on TRT, all infused into a playbook. If you're on TRT, this is your guide. Okay, we did one on Cypionate, we did one on cream. This is everything. Hybrid protocols, cream protocols, prop protocols, Cypionate protocols, enanthate protocols. How to use exogenous DHT on TRT. Boys, it's the most valuable product I've ever created right now. It is 20% off. Code is on the screen. Go get a copy. Use it as your rule book, okay? You're going to see some extreme things in there. Some things that I have discovered mainly about how what's out there on the web is wrong. If you understand the problem, as well as what protocols to target as templates, and then how to adjust those protocols, you're going to save yourself years on TRT. Go get Mastering Libido and Erections on TRT. The official sexual function playbook is live. It's 20% off. Codes on the screen. livecortex.com. Look, this is one of the biggest discounts I've ever run on coaching. Some people do not want to go at it alone and try 20 different protocols. Let's just get you dialed in. You know, if you have the budget and you're one of those guys that does not like to waste time, just hire me. We'll be on the fact-finding call as soon as the next day, and then we begin. And then it's me managing, engineering, and perfecting your protocol specifically for sexual function. Have you got erection issues, libido issues? We'll fix them. It's only a matter of time. Book me livecortex.com. 3 and 6 months, 30% off right now. Codes on the screen. And again, got a bunch of different products ranging from source list, pretty self-explanatory, to other courses on tests like Mastering Test Cream and Mastering Testosterone Cypionate, all livecortex.com. All right, my brothers in test. It has been an absolute pleasure being with you for another one, and we're going to have many more another ones moving forward. Like the video. I'd love to have you like the video. It makes a huge difference. Honestly, please, if you want to do anything for me, just hit the like button. Sub to the channel if you're new here. Well, we got plenty more to talk about and plenty that we have talked about. I'd love to have you on board. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. I'll talk to you boys on the next one.